Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers the latest commentary on the firearms industry, news, information, and buzz, brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen from Gun Guy Radio. Brown Owls helps make this show possible. Selection, service, satisfaction. Find it all at Brown Owls. Please visit thisweekinguns.com/Brown Owls to shop with our Brown Owls affiliate link. Well, we have a great set of panelists. Again, this week we have Peter Palma joining us, former Marine sniper, Top Shot contestant, and inventor of the MS Clean kit. Hey, Peter.
Meow.
And Billy Birdswell, former Marine, strategic relationships, currently at Remington Arms. Hey, Billy.
Hi, everyone.
And Josh Cast, otherwise known as Whitey, of Four Guys Guns, blog, store, and members. Hey, Josh.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having us.
And we may have Adam Peeney of War Sport Industries joining us later. He was on for the pre-show, and I think a black helicopter took him away. So let's get into the top stories of this evening. So 3D printed guns are only getting better, easier to make, and scarier, according to Gizmodo. So this, I'd like to put in some of these mainstream articles in here because they kind of have some of this knee-jerk reaction fear we see out there in the mainstream media about how maybe they think people shouldn't be able to just plug in a printer and print out a gun that you can kill someone with.
They didn't mention the only real gun. I mean, they have 3D printed guns that work for like a short period of time until they like pretty much self-destructed not too long. But some of them that 3D printed, Solid Concepts did. They 3D printed a complete 1911. Obviously, they didn't 3D print the springs and stuff, but it was like to have a 3D printer that could print in metal and do all that is like astronomical. It's like stupid amounts of money where you could just go buy real guns. You know what I mean? So
right, they printed one out of all steel and shot 10,000 rounds through it or more.
Yeah, and they didn't mention that in this article. That is, they mentioned the Liberator one, which kind of worked a little bit, but not really, and like if you really were hard up and you wanted to make your own gun, you could probably do a lot better without a 3D printer. You could probably with your angle grinder and drill press, if you're really patient, make a better gun than that Liberator, which we talked about, a while back, but it's not really like a game-changing. You're probably more likely to hurt yourself with it than somebody else.
And it's funny because I put this at the same exact level as how game-changing the Atari was. At the end of the day, this is the beginning of things to come. Dremel has recently announced do it, make it yourself. And as we've seen, especially in the aerospace industry, as well as defense, firearms, all these materials, especially polymers, have come a long, long way. And as those materials get stronger, get lighter, get cheaper, get faster, now you combine that with the availability of, look at when I was in school, you had a laser printer that went back and forth. Now we have, inkjets that produce photos at literally 10,000 DPIs, and you could buy those for your home. So it's not going to be tomorrow, but this is a definite real possibility, and I think we touched on it last week when we said it's laws that we've never had to even consider looking at. And we're going to be forced to look at some really tough decisions and things that we're going to have to fight for as, Second Amendment supporters and gun owners to say, do we want this or do we not? And how do we then continue to, work to make it work for everyone? That's just my opinion, because this could be, a fun thing for you and your kid to build your first gun. This could also be, some smart kid down in Yale making hood heaters, with a CAD program. It's something that we're going to have to face, but the technology is clearly coming.
Could it eventually put the big gun makers out of business, like Remington, Billy?
I wouldn't say so, personally, but Remington will probably answer that better. Sorry.
Well, disruptive technology is disruptive, right? And as far as far as I know, no company that was very profitable making 3.5-inch floppy drives ever made the transition to CD-ROM, and none of them made the successful transition to Blu-ray. And so as a gun manufacturer, we're always examining new developments in technology and manufacturing process. And one thing that, an individual can go out and buy CNC machines. Small businesses can buy CNC machines. But there's some efficiencies to technology, especially within the realms of design and fabrication. And so really what you're seeing with this is the commoditization of fabrication, but firearms design still matters, as does quality control. And so, yes, in the future it'll be possible to make something. Whether that's going to be as good as something that a major manufacturer can make or a professional manufacturer can make remains to be seen.
Well, I imagine it's going to be a game changer for how companies like Remington develop guns, because if Remington isn't already using 3D printing for R&D, they will be soon.
I think that was just those two words right there. Commoditization of fabrication. That's a slide and a half right there.
All right. Well, I mean,
why is that a slide and a half? Because CNC technology has already very much commoditized manufacturing.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm absolutely agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm saying that's a dynamite. Like, if that was the top of a slide, I'm paying attention, bro. Like, you're absolutely right.
Well, so and that just pertains to, like, output is technology times capital times labor, right? And so technology inherently displaces labor, and so this is where you used to have like 8 guys manually running drill presses and milling machines and other types of machines. Now metal goes into a box and a part gets spit out. Doing 3D printing is very similar to that, and it really just changes what the value-added skills of labor are into a manufacturing process.
I'm soaked because, like, even a CNC machine, how awesome they are, and no matter how many axes you can go in there, you still have a limitation of, like, where the tool cannot create a certain cannot create this piece of metal, regardless of, like, how advanced your machine is. But, like, if an engineer can think up a piece of metal or whatever material it may be, because they're 3D printing metal now, that he can make it like that. So it makes any machine more efficient, because there's, like, materials you can remove that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to remove. And obviously people who can afford those machines, like, that can 3D print metals or whatever other material that, obviously, I mean, my college has a 3D printer I'm allowed to use, but that material that comes out of it it's not strong like, even the injection molded stuff I use, or obviously the metal that Solid Concepts use. So it's like certain, where you have to cast something or forge something or, machine it, you have limitations there, where the 3D printer is like anything you could think of.
And we're already seeing differences too. I mean, look at a lot of the people who Adams, Salient, and a couple other guys that are now coming out with, what is it, like 9 bolt carrier manufacturers in the country or something like that. Now they're doing gas keys it's all one-piece unit. So all those ways we can't get in, all the axes we can't get in, people are finding a way around it, even as far as the oil industry, where you have people doing sideways drilling now. If you give enough eggheads a problem, they will figure out how to do it. It's just a matter of science and materials catching up to the actual thought process behind it.
Yeah, so the DPMS G2 has a monolithic bolt
carrier,
I'm
excited
in which the gas key is forged into it.
What was that, Peter?
Let's move on to The Verge. Has an article titled "The Internet of Things Now Has a Gun." So apparently at CES, Tracking Point showed up with their new Tracking Point rifle and system. And a quote from this article is from Danielle Hambleton, Tracking Point's vice president of marketing, says hunting and shooting sports are now part of the web fabric. With this new technology, friends and family are virtually transported and immersed into exotic and exciting hunts. So this article goes on to talk a little bit about how Tracking Point's debuting their iOS and Google Play app, which lets hunters stream video from his or her gun to anyone in the world.
This is amazing. It's like they're on the
You,
forefront of where things are going.
you signing up for this, Josh?
I don't know if I'm signing up for it, but I don't think a single gun owner, whether it was like an actual soldier, whether it was a hunter, whether it was somebody who just enjoys airsoft, I don't think a single person saw Google Glass come out and say, "Oh, there's no way you're gonna like weaponize that." Oh my God, this is RoboCop on steroids, and we are just getting started. So would I sign up for it? I'll try anything once. It's more than college.
Billy, what do you think of the tracking point system?
I've shot the 300 Win Mag, the 338 Lapua, as well as some other variants. Remington had what we call the Remington 2020, and it's really, really impressive technology. The firearm, right? Like the bolt action rifle first came along in 1898 with the Gewehr 98 with the Mauser action. The ARs that we're using are improvements upon a 1957 design. Bullet technology really hasn't changed at all since the introduction of the 30-06. 100 years ago, or a little more than 100 years ago. But the miniaturization of processors and what we're doing with electro-optical technology is like unbelievable. And just like when people went to compound bows, the guys before them said, no, this is silly, or it's cheating, or it's unethical, and so on and so forth. And right now, those tracking point systems are incredibly expensive, but so were PC computers when they first came out. And that technology will improve. The price will come way down, and in X number of years, I don't know how many, but it is inevitable that we will see the proliferation. That was a hard word to get out. Of these advanced electro-optical systems that do ballistic compensation and have Wi-Fi chips in them, and potentially have some sort of wireless data chip like a cell phone chip in it. And we'll see what it does. We'll see if people want them, and we'll see what kind of performance you get on them, and off we go.
I agree that we're at the point right now where there's really not much you can do to make we're splitting hairs and making firearms better, but until you get away from bullets altogether or go to something else. But we have barely touched optics. You know what I mean? If you think of what else can you do other than guns? You see guns right now that fire at an insane rate of fire, and they're easily controllable, and they don't really need to be maintained as much. We're getting to be at the point of where how much more can we make the firearm better? But our optics, I could just imagine an optic that's infinitely better than the ones we have now, and this is that first step into it. And but I don't think that this product is viable the way it stands right now, just from what I've handling of it and seen it, and things we've done in recoil with it. It's kind of like those first laser optics. They get really huge. It was this big, in Terminator. It's it obviously there's lasers all over the place now, and you can use them infrared, and they have what you were saying. Right now, it's I'll fight up against it. You know what I mean? It's the dude. Who was the dude who with jackhammer? He was swinging the hammer, and then they had the steam hammer, and he beat it, but then he died. I mean, so at the point right now, I'll fight it, but in 5 years, this is gonna be able to beat me.
What the hell are you talking about?
There was a story where a dude
Was I there? Was anyone else there?
Yeah.
Is this Peter's show?
Yeah, the guy with jackhammer. The guy was fighting a jackhammer in the story, and he ended up beating the jackhammer, but then he died of exhaustion.
Okay, well, the magic of tracking point, I don't think is the optic per se, because optics don't make you shoot better; they make you see better, right? But the magic of tracking point is that it separates stability from trigger control. So regardless of how good your optic is, you still have to maintain an appropriate level of stability, and then have great trigger control in order to make your hit. But with tracking point, when you mark a target, is the only time that you have to achieve stability, and if you were stable enough because you can see your laser spot. And once you get a good laser spot, you just hold the trigger to the rear and it's pass shooting. When the blue circle hits the red laser spot, the gun fires on its own. And that's really different. That's a fundamentally different approach until you in how you launch spin stabilized projectiles out of a gun. And so there's something really neat about that. Obviously the optic plays an important part, but this is much more than an optic. This is a bifurcation of the firing system and separating stability from trigger control, and that really changes like how much time you have to spend practicing in order to be able to make 1,000-yard hits. Like I got on the gun, never touched it before, lays my target, press the trigger, bang, 1,000-yard hit.
Oh yeah, and take what we just talked about when it comes to as microprocessor technology and electronics and as general get smaller, faster, and cheaper. Think about instead of how long it takes you to get that blue circle onto the red dot now versus say even as soon as 5 years from now, and how it's just a matter of zap zap. It's like you're playing, what game was that? Not Space Invaders, the one with the Rush.
What are you talking about, huh? Was I there?
Yeah. Were you talking about the steam shovel book that I read my son to bed, like where it's like all the gas engines and diesels were being similar story?
Yep.
The railroad book. The guy with the sledgehammer building a railroad versus the jackhammer. Is that what you're talking about?
I think so.
All right, so that's the reference you were making. Is that right now you could still beat out that.
Obviously it's kind of like
come with me on this journey.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. I call BS that. Like right now, it is the way of the future. I was like, man, CDs are never going to take off. No, I mean obviously, this system has been implemented before in other weapon systems. So this is nothing new. It's just the first time it's on a rifle. I mean, we've done it with rockets and things like that before, guided rockets.
Lasers from boats right now, though, Peter. I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm really excited about so a projectile's not coming out. I mean, like it's neat, but it's still you're applying like this awesome technology to what I think is like an antiquated. Like you said, it's the Mauser. You attach this awesome thing to a Mauser and made electronic. Like, why do we just get rid of the Mauser and get something better and put something on it? That's what I'm saying. Like, I want a laser gun. I'm tired of cleaning my gun. I don't want gravity to affect it. I don't want wind to affect it. And you laugh, but we have laser guns already.
Right, you're absolutely right.
Laser engrave. You could cut through an AR-15 with a laser. So
right. So Peter. So for 600 years, we've been launching metal projectiles that reach their maximum velocity at the muzzle. For about 150 years, we've been using spin-stabilized projectiles, right? Call it like with the mini ball in the mid-19th century that rifle technology really came along. And all firearms technology, as we think of it, of using a chemical propellant, is limited by pressure and heat. And that's the inherent limitation to it. And so your alternatives are to launch a projectile that doesn't reach its maximum muzzle velocity or maximum velocity at the muzzle, but now you're talking about some sort of rocket or and something that's guided, and that's really expensive. Or you could just say, hey, we're not launching metal anymore, right? Now you're into other forms of energy, because ultimately it's all about projecting energy onto a given target. And I have no idea what DARPA's working on, but at some point we will move away from launching metal.
I'm excited.
I don't know.
I mean, this is definitely something that's innovative, but I just don't think for the price and for what it does. And in Recoil, we did an article, if you want to read it, where we took one shooter with like a Colt semi-automatic rifle, and we put 3 people with this tracking point, a beginner, intermediate, and an expert with this rifle, and the old shooter still smoked all of them with great ease, and then they pulled their advertising from Recoil after we published the truth, right? So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not a step into the future, but we're not in the future yet, I know when we go into the grocery store, the doors open like in Star Trek and all, but like we're not in the future. So.
Peter.
Well, I see a future of us all wearing bulletproof hats. Bullet Safe has a Kickstarter campaign where you can
Kickstarter.
back your own bulletproof hat, ball cap, baseball cap.
Didn't 50 Cent already have this? Like, this isn't really new. He made like a Yankees hat that was bulletproof, like back in 2007 or whatever.
Really?
I'm not even kidding you. It was. Let me see if I can find an article. Amongst yourselves.
I'm really excited for, you know how people get body armor and then like they'll post a video of them shooting themselves in the chest with it, right? And I'm like, you are insane. Like, I don't like. What is the risk to reward there? I guess if you really want to sell your body armor, but I'm excited to see the YouTube videos of people shooting themselves in the head with this hat on.
It says it can stop 22 LR and 40 caliber rounds. Right now, you can back it on Kickstarter. 18 days to go. Has 137 backers. Currently at $9,345 pledged of the $3,500 goal. So they're already past their goal. So,
man, how come people?
What if you get shot in the face? I mean,
face shoots will always win.
That's what would happen to me. I'd buy this thing, and then somebody would just shoot me in the face.
Say not in the face.
Not in the face. It's cool though.
It looks like it was just a lyric in a song. It wasn't something I actually did.
Oh. So disappointed.
This goes along with this, I mean, they made...
He's an innovator. That's all it is. He's an innovator.
Projectile weapons like, arrows and stuff like that, so he had body armor, like, so you couldn't stop it. And then, like, well, crap, we have bullets that are going through this body armor, so now what are we going to do? So we're making body armor now where it's pretty much stopping all these bullets, so you're going to be nigh invincible. So now we need lasers that will go through the body armor.
Back to the lasers.
I want a laser gun. I don't want to clean it. I don't want to have to deal with recoil. I don't want to deal with windage or elevation.
Tired of windage and elevation.
Yeah, I'm tired of all of that stuff. I just want to...
But you're so good at it, Peter.
Ugh.
VA offers free gun locks in exchange for firearm information. So apparently the Department of Veterans Affairs is offering free gun locks to veterans because they have been shown to greatly reduce death and injury caused by firearms in a home. But there is a catch. Vets must first provide the VA with their name, address, and number of guns in the home. Well, we have at least 2 vets here on the program. Yeah. Billy, Peter, you guys signing up free gun locks?
I have one, I have a gun safe, and 2, here's a simple solution. You just do what you always do, and you just lie to the VA. Right? How many drinks do you have a week? And you say like 3. You know what I mean?
Billy,
you don't have to tell them their name. Just if you really want to.
I don't know enough about what they're doing with that data, or the specifics of what data they're collecting to really have a comment about that.
Whoa, that was a political answer.
Well, it's an honest answer.
Yeah.
So, should we talk about the French terrorist attacks a little bit, about how the unarmed police had to run away because they were unarmed?
I'm still on freaking the VA. Listen, I'm not a vet, and I've met a lot of really, really awesome both active and veterans of wars all the way back to World War II. And whether or not there's validity to that previous article that we're trying to run away from, that alone, anytime you do anything but help a veteran, it just literally drives my ire like through the roof. And to kind of attach, it's like, for one, anybody who owns a gun knows that those locks don't do a damn thing, so it's not going to friggin' matter. Whatever lock they're giving out was manufactured in China or Taiwan, and you get them in every box of every pistol and shotgun you've ever bought. So it's garbage. So to give any of your personal information outside of what they already have for that's just, there's a shred of truth to it, it's like, it just drives me. It's just taking advantage of somebody who's already in need of help. Whether you want to go or you have to go to get your benefits, or you're someone who actually needs the VA's help, anything involving the VA definitely rings home, because one of our guys at Four Guys Guns is very adamant about it, and a lot of the guys I know hate going. They fight going. Sometimes they have to go, and I'm all set. I think they need to just redo the entire VA system altogether, because it's just anytime it comes up, this is a bad thing. Doesn't matter if they tell me, oh, we're going to cure cancer at the VA, but bullshit. I want to see timestamp. I want to see. Sorry, Jake. It literally this gets me going, because there's too many guys I know that fight too many wars that they're not even in anymore, and I think everyone needs to kind of have a good laser beam. There you go, Peter. A little laser focus for you. Little laser beam focus on the VA. These are guys that it's just. I've known too many guys that we've either lost or still going, still fighting. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I just wonder. Here's another thing. Why are they even bothering with this? I mean, why is this the VA doing this?
It's a way in. It
that money?
is.
Why are they spending the money on that? Like, I know there's people who need money from the VA more than people need gun locks. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, and these are the same type of crappy gun locks that come with every new gun that you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm afraid to name names because Remington's in the building. I don't know who they own.
Well, I mean, if you want to ship guns to certain states and stuff like that, you have to have those things there. Like, like some guns come with a little round. You mean that's because some states require that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, flathead screwdriver and a hard strike on the actual counter, and that thing's defeated. And then the little metal ones that are looped usually have the company logo that you get 500,000 for 75 cents per unit.
Yeah. They have to do it to
right.
sell the
I understand the legality of it. I absolutely do.
No.
But to swap that for your personal info as a veteran, veterans are already kind of on edge, because they know that if they admit certain things, they're going to have their stuff taken away from them. And that's not what they went and fought for. To come home and have their stuff taken away because somebody who wasn't there deems it as being
right.
You're not safe.
Well, we have a very similar story. I'll move it up here. Retired cop sues New York State for confiscating guns after insomnia treatment.
Yeah.
I saw this.
Yeah, so this guy, he goes in because he's having trouble sleeping, and apparently the healthcare system categorizes him as having mental health issues. And then because of the SAFE Act there in New York, he was the owner of 4 guns, and they confiscated guns from him because he can't sleep.
It doesn't give like I don't know if there are already details or there isn't, but it didn't give details whether if not that was an issue before where he got up with his gun and ran about. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's always been like a weird conundrum for me, because obviously we don't want like super crazy people running around with firearms, right? So, but then the catch-22 to that is then like people, a medical professional determines who's crazy, right? Isn't that how that works?
But not necessarily as it pertains to firearms ownership. So a prohibited person in the mental health category for firearms ownership was originally classified by the Gun Control Act of 1968, and that a judge has to declare someone to be mentally defective. However, the mental health system was very different in 1968 than it is today. And so I don't know the details of what happened with this police officer, and I can't really speak to it. But I think the ins and outs of how a prohibited person is classified and what we're doing to make sure crazy people don't have scissors, let alone guns, is something that we have to have more of a conversation about, because the Virginia Tech shooter was required by a court to get mental health counseling, but I don't believe he was actually declared to be mentally defective. So he passed a background check, bought his guns over the counter, like the guy who killed the guy who shot Gabby Giffords. He passed the background check after he had told a school psychiatrist that he was going to kill people, and so I think we need to have a much more detailed conversation about what constitutes a prohibited person. This particular case, though, isn't really one I can comment on because this article just doesn't have a lot of information about it.
Well, it says apparently he was miscategorized by a worker there. Staff erroneously listed him as an involuntary admission, which triggered the Safe Act reporting provision.
Well, if there's a mistake, then the mistake should be rectified and his property should be returned. I don't think that's particularly complicated.
It is when the state's involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one. I don't know. One less thing in the system we need.
Yeah, it's definitely borderline. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, depending on the rest of the information that we don't really know, it's definitely something to be looked at.
Well, I think the conversation is, in this particular case, was a mistake made. Assuming the mistake was made, then he should have his property returned. The broader question is, do we need to redefine what constitutes a prohibited person and how a prohibited person is classified? Like, does it still need to be through a judge's order, or should mental health professionals be able to do it?
So let's move back to the French terrorist attack. And,
the French.
The French.
Just give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
I saw online that what Donald Trump came out saying that it was because of France's gun control.
Yeah, I was even just looking up his tweet.
Yeah, and the internet blew up because of that. So lots of interesting articles out there, but yeah, Europe, a lot of Europe has these unarmed police, and yeah, apparently we have a very terrible situation here where it really proves the point where police probably need to be armed all the time.
I wonder, obviously in America here, this is like an obvious issue because we have well-armed police, and then people say, well, they're too armed, you know what I mean? They're like militarized or whatever. I wonder if they're having this conversation in France and Europe. I wonder if there's anybody over there who likes firearms freedom like us, and who is like, hey, maybe we should all have guns. Or I don't know. I've never been to Paris or France. Like, I wonder if there's people there who if they're all just like, hey, this, it sucked, this happened or whatever. It's just a way, unfortunate event. Or I wonder if there's people there like, hey, we need like we would all be screaming. Like we are screaming, hey, why don't they have guns? Why do I care if Paris people have guns or not? You know what I mean? But I wonder if there's people there screaming that. That's my question. I wonder, like I'm not going to care about them if they don't care about themselves.
That's a pretty powerful statement in and of itself. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a bad thing. It's a tragedy as well as kind of a told you so moment, but no one's going to say it because it's a bad thing that happened. Over the past 2 years, with all the screaming of gun control and all the lobbyists and all the publicity and massive campaigns to try and basically take away one of our fundamental constitutional rights or Bill of Rights, I always get mixed up. You always had them saying, why can't we be more like Europe? Why can't we be more like England? Why can't we be more like France? Someone who shares so much constitutional similarity to the United States. And when something like this happens, it really is kind of an eye-opener for those that think that, the grass is greener. This is truth in reality, and that's, you can't hide from this at this point. There are people that don't like us, period. And it's not just us. If you have any skin that is remotely light, if you don't follow a certain, deity that you worship to, there's always fanatics, and they will always go as far as they can go. And in this day and age, there's too many guns in the world to try and sit there and say we can get rid of them even if we wanted to. So this is a reality check, I think, for a lot of people. And, of course, nobody wants to see life lost for something as simple as freedom of speech. This might be the catalyst that the world kind of needs to see to wake up and say, hey, maybe we might want to take a little introspective look and see what we can change about the society and not an actual item.
And I read in the news today that for every legal gun there is in France, there are 2 illegal firearms. And for those who think that it's some sort of what do they call it, the iron pipeline, or it's gun shows, or it's some sort of magical, mystical, unproven mechanism in the United States in which firearms go from legal manufacture into the black market. Well, those black markets exist all over the world. And so there you have in France, which obviously has a black market good enough to get like a bona fide AK-47 into the hands of people who did something absolutely horrible. And regardless, this just really reinforced the point to me that the black market for firearms will always exist, regardless of what sort of gun restriction scheme you come up with. And good people being able to keep and bear arms for self-defense is a good thing, and it's one that I'm very happy we have here in this country.
And just for an example, France is like, where a lot of these gun control activists want to take us. And so in France, to buy a firearm, a hunting license or a shooting sport license is necessary. All semi-automatic rifles with a capacity greater than 3 rounds, and all handguns and all rifles chambered in military calibers, including bolt action, require permits. And then they have like 3 or 4 different types of permits. Firearms are divided into 8 categories. Blah, blah, blah. France also sets limits on the number of cartridges that can be kept at home, 1,000 rounds per gun, and so on.
How do you go from like a country that loves liberty so much that you create like a mechanism to kill your leaders? You know what I mean? Like you don't just like say, oh, let's like we were just like, we don't like Britain, let's like shoot at them. That seems like somewhat natural, right? They're like, no, let's get a carpenter out there. We're gonna make this giant like thing that has like that's designed to like fall so we could chop our leaders' heads off. It's not like they made like a guillotine and they put it in the thing and like, oh well, let's find our leaders and like just put their heads on here. It'll be really awesome, and they'll like roll into this basket. Like that's not something where you like. Like, well, screw this, we're done with them, and like have a coup. You're like, you got to create this mechanism, this product, and you got to like have people involved with it to overthrow your government. And then now you don't even have guns. Like, how did that happen? What went wrong, France? So wrong. You were so awesome.
Fantastic pastries, though. Fantastic.
Yeah. The let 'em eat cake. Well, how about we chop your head off? Check out this cool thing we built. Come out
like
here.
Leche and
yeah. Like, and then now they go to totally disarming themselves. Like, how does that happen?
Ask Australia.
I'm surprised you went to the Middle Ages. I would have went to World War II. I mean, World War II, you could use an example. They were invaded. They, had the French Resistance and everything. I mean, wouldn't you think the people of France would want, guns to protect in case of invasion again?
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand. Whatever.
I don't know.
It would happen in Baton Rouge, dude. If 4 Islamic Muslims went and shot some people in Baton Rouge, it would be one. Obviously, the cops would start shooting back immediately, and if they didn't, then there would be every like redneck in a truck with guns looking for.
That's what France needs.
AKs, yeah.
They
would not have gotten away. They wouldn't have got. That's why the shooters, like, you don't see these mass shootings happen and the guy get away. The best you could do in America is like go into some area where you're not allowed to have guns, like a school or something, shoot people for like a certain amount of time, and you probably just have to kill yourself because they're going to kill you. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? You're not going to get away. How did they get away? They got away. They're like where are they? They didn't catch them, right? They're gone. They're like drinking tea somewhere. You know what I mean? They're doing a chai somewhere. It's ridiculous.
All right, let's move away from the depressing news. Talk about FN being awarded an $84.6 million contract for machine guns for the U.S. military. The M240. Peter, you were a machine gunner, right?
I was born a machine gunner.
Okay.
FN is the greatest firearms company on the face of the planet. So it's like, and they make the best machine guns. So yeah.
Peter, have you ever run
surprising.
an H&K, the H&K belt fed?
I've never ran one, but I've messed with one. We never got to shoot it, but you know,
What did you think of the H&K? You know, it's the H&K version of an M240.
I mean, I never got to shoot it, so I can't really say. You know, the materials and the workmanship and everything seem to be on par with that of FN. You know what I mean? But as far as, you know, like all the materials and the chromoline barrel, all that stuff, it seems like it would have worked just as well. And there's other products out there that would work just as well as it. But you know, obviously their ability to mass produce and is everything factored in. You know what I mean? Then it's good. So I don't know anything about the HK. Other than like what I've seen and messed with it, but I've never actually shot it. But I've shot 240s like crazy, and 249s and M2s and you know Mark 19s, and they all seem to be pretty sweet. You know, and I've never shot the Mark 48, but I've only heard good things about it. So
It says this.
I haven't shot a Mark 46 or Mark 48 either, but from what I understand, they run really well. The operating systems, of course, are exactly the same as the M249 and the M240. But you know, they have a couple features here and there to make them lighter, and everyone that I've talked to really likes them.
It says also the M240 contract is one of the first big announcements under the company's new name, FN America. Before October 2014, the company was split into two entities, a manufacturer facility called FN in South Carolina and an administrative side called FN USA in Virginia. So
they like to do that, like split it up. I mean, it's cool that they do that. I've always, you know, obviously FN has always been like the manufacturer of the free arm, you know, of making, you know, arms for the free world, but they're really starting to come back. Like, you know, they started making like civilian weapons way back in the day, you know, with John Brown, like little pocket pistols and things like that. And like historically, recently, in the past, you know, whatever, past decades until this one, they were making like military firearms, like solely for military firearms, and then like or firearms for governments, like, you know, the P90 and stuff, and then like that they could be adapted to be purchased by, you know, civilians, but they didn't really care. But now with like the FNS and the FNSC, the FNSC, the compact one is only for civilians. It's not like, you know, military is carrying concealed weapons. You know what I mean? So it's neat to see that they're branching out and still taking care of their military. Because I couldn't imagine, you know, a Marine Corps without FN.
Right, and it was just this last SHOT Show, wasn't it, that they debuted the FN-15 series, the civilian AR-15 line. And I think they're debuting more this year.
Yeah, and there's a very good reason for that as well. It's the there are certain parameters on manufacturing military weapons that make it difficult to manufacture the same firearm for the civilian market. So like the assembly line that Colt has to make, the assembly line FN has to make the M16A4 and now the M4, they cannot sell the guns off of that line to the civilian market. You know, obviously if they're within the parameters of the National Firearms Act. And so it really like requires them to set up a different pipeline to do it. And it's just relatively recent that I believe that they had the bandwidth and the capacity in order to set up what is required to have firearms that are compliant with federal law to be sold to civilians.
Right. I think we did talk about probably a little bit under a year ago when they announced it at last NRA about how they have a separate line that they're running these off of. So let's talk about Ruger buying back stock. Price per share of their stock increases as a result.
Why would they do that?
Billy?
Well, the stockholders are stakeholders, right? And so Ruger's stock price is down 50% on the year. So last year it was trading at 80, and now it's trading at 37. And you know, Ruger's kind of a neat company. They're the only firearms company that I know of that has no debt. like they have no long-term debt at all, and so they're so they don't have to pay a whole lot in interest every month.
That's
And
awesome. That makes me a big fan right there. No debt.
it is what it is. There's some very good reasons for financing your company with debt, but it tends to be a lot cheaper than equity. But regardless, they have a lot of cash on hand, and they want to boost up their stock price. Their options are either paying out that cash to dividends or buying back shares, which increases the price of the stock. And Mike Pfeiffer is no dummy. And if he decided to buy back shares, and he had a very good reason for it, the effect, obviously, is that the stock price is going to go up.
Do you think this may be a move to eventually take Ruger back to being a private company?
I do not have enough information about the details of anything like that, of if it's even feasible to do it, what would be required, how would they finance it, why they would do it, who those private shareholders would be, etc. So I have no idea.
Would you want to speculate on that, Josh?
Speculate.
Josh?
So what do you want me to speculate on? the buyback? Listen, I'm not the person to be talking to. I worked for Apple for a number of years, and we focused on the stock price a lot as a shareholder myself. And we always actually hoped for splits. We never hoped for a buyback. So, I mean, I think...
So that, I think it's been talked about...
Why would you hope for splits instead of a buyback?
Because Apple is showing continual steady growth with short plateaus. So whenever you split the shares that you had, because as an employee we got X amount of shares, and that shares that I had worked so hard for went from like 40 to 80, and then within 6 months it was right back to where it was. So when you're looking at long-term employment, it was like you would just have an incredible amount of shares that continue to keep going. We couldn't lose when I worked for Apple.
But when they split the stock, the price goes down as well.
Right, but then because it's now affordable and the more people buy in, the price ended up going back up. So we saw it, the ticker, and it would just go up and up and up. So I would lose money, but 6 months later I'd be right back where I was with more shares. So you're absolutely right. Over long term, I didn't actually gain much except more shares. It afforded me a lot of things in my life, and I never actually had to really lose money. So we were always happy for a split. We never really wanted a buyback. That came towards my last year of employment, and it was like, whatever, I'm out.
Open Carry Group to manufacture guns at state capitol. These are your favorite people, Peter. I know that. Open Carry Texas is planning to use a Ghost Gunner CNC machine.
They're making ghost guns
on the steps.
Yeah,
that's part of their protest.
So they're milling out 80% lower AR-15 receivers on the Capitol steps, only in Texas, right?
Talk to me, Goose.
It's like I need to find like those there's weird laws that like you can do it, but it's not like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find out where the open carry people live, and I'm going to like mow part of their lawn like in the corner, right? And so, like, since I maintained that part of their lawn for like X amount of time, I annexed it, right? So like, now I own that part of it, like some sort of squatters like thing, because I mowed it, and then I'm just gonna like put a toilet there, and I'm just gonna come and like poop in it every once in a while. It's my right. It's my right.
Peter,
it's like the same thing.
Start a graph, please. Get a graph going.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that pie chart of the lawn to poop in.
Yeah, like I just do it, and I maintained it, and it's like just enough where like I have access to like to the road or whatever. Like that's what it's like. It's like, why are you poking the bear? Like it's bad enough. Like we were actually kind of like, because I grew up. When I turned 18, we were in the Brady bill like crap, and we couldn't get any guns. Like nobody. You couldn't get any cool guns at all or anything like that, and you were only getting more and more laws were piling on you like crazy. And then like since a certain tipping point, it was like you're kind of getting stuff back. Like, look at Jake, he's got more liberties than he ever had. You know what I mean? And we're getting to get all this cool stuff, and we have this SIG brace, which is like this cheating thing that we could run around like this with, like, you know, it's awesome. And why would you like just poke at these people that for rights you already have? You already have them. Like, why are you? You can do it. Yeah, we know. You can bring your CNC machine out and make it an R lower.
My prediction is 1 felony and game over for the day. Like, protest done. We're out of here. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sure Bill knows more than I do on this matter, but the laws around creating your own firearm are pretty damn specific. You could do it anywhere. You can do it wherever you want. And once you start incorporating things like 3D printing machines, does it boil down to who pushes the button? Does it boil down to who fills the reservoir for the resin? Does it boil down to who put the CAD program in? Somebody will most likely get a felony, because instead of doing it privately with your own, you know, Bridgeport that you inherited from 6 grandfathers ago in your basement, you know, things like that, you're now doing it publicly, and there's going to be a lot of eyes looking at it. And I'm predicting at least 1 felony for the day.
Predictions, Billy?
I don't know enough about the Title I laws in order to comment on, you know, the legality of what they're doing and then what'll change. I did read recently that I think it was in California where machine shops were prohibited from finishing 80% lowers. Did you guys hear that as well?
And from doing build parties as well.
Right. That was, I think, Aries Armor all day long, because they were literally like, buy your 80%er, come on over here, and you do this, you do that, you do this. Like, they were just kind of coaching people through it, and hey, I got an 80% lower, and then they have a build party where they sell them all the stuff they need to finish that lower into a working rifle, and it's unserialized, and it seems like a fun, like, I'd do it on a Saturday, you know, hey, learn to build an AR and work some machinery.
That was a state directive, not a legislative change. But it's, you know, who knows? Hopefully, we'll be able to have more freedom than less, and legislators will make good decisions.
All right, so I'm going to skip over the last 3 here. If you want to check the show notes at thisweekinguns.com/099, there's a story about the new Glock 40, new Silencer Co. ad, and the XTS at a lower price point. And if you're coming off Christmas here and someone maybe got you an Amazon gift card, you can shop through our Amazon affiliate link at the Firearms Radio Network or This Week in Guns to help support free programming like this. So before you shop at Amazon, please go to firearmsradio.tv/Amazon, and you can actually bookmark that URL, so you can just click it each time you go to shop Amazon. It helps out the show, and I thank you. We are to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about and other crazy stuff. So we'll take turns picking a story to talk about. Peter, do you have one?
Yes. I choose the Huey P. Newitt Gun Club aims to be the black alternative to the NRA. I may not agree with everything that they do, but the fact that they're against the NRA, that I'm with them. Because they keep sending, like, I haven't gotten any emails from the Huey P. Long Newton Gun Club.
Oh, you will.
In the middle of the, yeah. Once I do that, then I'm going to jump off their bandwagon. But until then, you know, I'm all about it. And it's run by...
Peter, are you an NRA member?
No. I was. And then...
And why aren't you an NRA member anymore?
Because they keep sending me emails all of the time. And I respond. I'm like, hey, listen, you know, I'm a member. You don't have to send me emails. I already sent you the money and things like that. But they're like, that's why.
So getting emails has made you not support the NRA anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. It's one of them. It's not just that. It's like, even as a, like, you know, as soon as I turned 18, I'm like, yeah, I joined the NRA. I was super excited. And listen, they've come a long way. but like the type of like stuff they used to, they're like a dinosaur that's extinct and just doesn't know it yet. It's like the last T-Rex roaming around the thing is like, oh yeah, I'm a T-Rex, I'm awesome, I'm gonna like, but you're the last one, dude. Like it's over.
Now,
So it's like they used to send out these pamphlets of like little kid of like they used to send these pamphlets out, which even as a child I was embarrassed to like see them. It's like, Johnny, what are we gonna do? It's like they were like the way they were like they're always a step behind, and the way they were portraying this like.
I don't think they're a T-Rex, though. They've been doing a lot of stuff with NRA freestyle and a lot of the new commentators and everything.
Yeah,
but regardless of their messaging, regardless of their messaging, you don't think that, like, I don't know, like Heller, McDonald, all the work they do with the Civil Rights Defense Fund, all the people they
Amendment Foundation, though.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't exist.
NRA was very much involved, and all that they do, and all they've done to support our Second Amendment rights, which, like, there would be no handguns without the NRA. There would be no semi-automatic rifles and detachable magazines and all that without the NRA. And you don't give them money, or you're not like a life member. You don't like are an annual member because you get stuff in the mail and emails.
I got I got like hundreds of emails. Like constant emails. It's just like
that's because you can never remember the email you signed up with. Let's be honest.
Yeah. It just comes onto my phone. I should have just done what I would do with the VA and give them fake information so they don't like come bother me. But
anyways.
Well, now how about like this, Peter? If you become a life member of the NRA, I'll do an email with you with the director of membership over there. And we'll work on not getting any emails. How about that?
Maybe I don't know.
Me on that, please.
Is that how it works?
And how about that? Why not? I'll do it right now. If you email me your receipt for a life membership, I will email you. I'll CC you on an email with the director of membership.
How about this?
And we'll figure out a way for you not to be bombarded with emails.
Here's what we'll do. Listen.
Wait.
Here's what we'll do. I will get a lifetime membership to NRA, whatever it costs, $400, $500, $600. I don't even know what it is. I'll buy it with my own money, right?
I hope you wouldn't buy it with my money.
Yeah.
Are you going to use money,
Peter?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I have a company, so obviously I could just put it on the company card. Anyway, what I'm saying, all right, and then my partner somehow it gets paid magically. That's not my. That's why I have my partner. What I'm saying is, so I'll do that. I'll become a lifetime NRA member, and I'll even wear an NRA shirt once a week. But if they send me even one email, you have to refund the money that I paid for my lifetime membership. Personally, I need a check that says Billy whatever, and send me. Okay, well then I disagree. I'm not going to do it.
That is not the agreement. That is not the agreement.
I didn't agree on anything.
On the table is fine. The offer is that we will put you in touch with someone who can make you not get emails.
Okay, I could just put a little forum.
I want to amend that offer
by the way.
It'd be a lot easier.
What? I want to amend that offer that if I do get an email, that you refund my lifetime membership money.
No deal.
All right, no deal.
Just to be fair, I'm a life member. If you look closely behind me, you can see my life member sticker. And I do not get any emails. I do not get anything in the mail.
I am also a life member. I don't get any emails, and I don't get anything in the mail.
Okay, but why did they send me emails then if I'm not a life member? You guys are life members. You guys really like them. You wouldn't be a member for life. Why don't they send you the emails?
Maybe you don't know how to adjust your email settings.
I mean, I never really tried.
There's true to that. There's truth to that.
All right, moving on.
It said turn me off here, so Peter said F this. I'm done. Punching out.
Moving on. Josh, do you have a story?
I was literally torn between the cornstarch flamethrower, but I didn't get a chance to fully watch the video. and the homeowner runs out of ammo firing warning shots.
Let's do that one.
It was really hard to focus with Peter trying to. I mean, personally, someone says to me, "I'm going to put you in touch with the director of." It's like, all right, we're talking now. Like, that's business. Let's do it. But the fact that you can't uncheck a box, dude, is just driving freaking wild right now.
I'm not serious. I do like that.
You had your chance. Stop it.
I like that array. I'm just giving him a hard time.
An Idaho homeowner and gun owner found himself confronting a burglar on New Year's Eve, but it did not go quite as you might expected. So, he spotted fresh footprints, closer inspection, doorknob forced open. So, what would anyone do? Maybe out comes the light, maybe do a little search and assess. Yeah, this guy was ready to go. Thought the gunshot would scare him, ready to kill him, and it looks like he just shot a whole bunch of times. It was like that scene from Dumb and Dumber where he just empties out the entire revolver, and he's like, "You're a horrible shot." That's what appears to happen here. Is that he even asked the guy, "You hit?" This is a read. I mean, it's a funny story. This is probably more detail-oriented of a read than half of the big headlines, if not more, than we've actually read. This actually tells you what he did, where he went, how many shots he fired. This is actually an article that probably should have been in the top half. But yeah, definitely read this.
Yeah, and he told the guy to stay put so he could go back to his car and get his phone and call the police. And
yeah, amazing.
I was like, that was my chance. And he took off, and the guy shot at him more.
Stay put. Pa-ting!
You're not allowed to do that, I thought.
No, you're not.
No, it's a bad idea.
All right, Billy, do you see any stories you want to hit?
The one that jumped out at me was not supporting military fakers.
I read that one too.
All right, take it away.
Well, this is just an issue that I wasn't sensitive to until somewhat recently. Being in the military, you're around people, and you they know you and you know them, so there really isn't so much of a how could you possibly lie about something to the guys who you were in a unit with, you were all there together. And then in the years that I was out of the military, I was around great people and a lot of veterans, and everyone was pretty straightforward with where they were and what they did. But the extent to which people lie and the number of people that are lying about it, I found it fairly shocking, and it just isn't something I have a whole lot of tolerance for. Nobody ever lied by accident, and especially when it's some enormous, an enormous fabrication. And I just take a lot of offense to it because there's a lot of people who did a lot of things to make being a Marine and being a soldier, an airman, a sailor, and being subsets thereof really mean something, and to exploit that for selfish personal gain, I got a tolerance for, and I would hope that the people in the gun community would hold people accountable who deliberately lie about stuff and deliberately exaggerate and make claims and mislead for their own personal gain. Peter, you have comments about that?
Yeah, it's so obnoxious that this happens all the time that I literally just don't. I just want to tell people not to knock on the water dogs, but I just want to tell people I just was in water. I know the Marines only produce 200 to 300 snipers a year, but it seems like they produce thousands because I meet them all of the time. You know what I mean? So it's it almost makes not that I sacrificed like crazy or anything like that. But it was not easy. You know what I mean?
But you did it. You're a bona fide 0317, made it through, have the certificate. You were in a state platoon. You were a Marine sniper.
Yeah, I know, but it's just when it doesn't mean anything. I'm gonna say it doesn't mean anything. It's difficult to when I used to say it, and then somebody's like, "Yeah, me too," or whatever it is, and I'm like, I don't think that and if you were, you would ask a couple questions about the Remington 700, where's the safety on the Remington 700, and they may not know. It's like, okay, well then how could you possibly? You mean, but why I cannot battle all of these people? And I'm sure Navy SEALs have it worse. I think like if you talk to like a real Navy SEAL, they say they meet like Navy like for every one Navy SEAL, there's like 5 fake Navy SEAls or whatever it is. I don't know this number I just made up, so it's not like a real number, but like it's something like that. So sometimes it's almost like I don't even feel like talking about it, or I don't even like to mention it because of this. So I agree with you. It's incredibly annoying, and I don't know what to do about it. But there's like cool things like Goon Squad, where like if somebody does and they catch them, then they like put them out in front of everything, and they like I love seeing that, like people like out these fakers and like just crush them. I like seeing that. I could watch that. They should make a TV show out of that.
I mean, you got to think if you're doing this, like I never served in the military. From my perspective, if I, if someone like me was to do this, I got to think that you got to have in the back of your mind that you're going to be outed at some point. I mean, how long can you put up a charade like this?
I've told more lies than I care to admit in my life. There's certain things, and this is definitely one of those things that this is one of those lies that you can't come back from, as far as I'm concerned. Again, referring back to the amount of people and friends that I've made and met over the past 4 or 5 years, I don't think hearing some of the stories, hearing a bunch of the losses, I don't think I could ever live with myself nor expect anyone to live with me if I had pretended to be any of those stories, any of those losses, any of those people, and then to gain from it. Yeah. To run it, start a business, to gain publication, to gain notoriety and be in a spotlight, whether on national or YouTube or anywhere. I don't think I could. I would probably eat a bullet, because that's one of the worst lies. I mean, that is just, you're going to get caught, especially Freedom of Information Act. There's people just on a massive witch hunt at this point. People just calling people out for the sake of calling people out, because there's nothing better to do than to call somebody out. And then one FOIA, and you're all over the internet. And everything that you worked so hard to build that lie on is now gone. It's A, not worth it. B, you're just rubbing everyone in the dirt who did do the work and do the time. And I was raised better than that. Of all the lies I've told, I was raised better than that. That's my 2 cents.
So what lies did you tell?
Yes.
How much porn is underneath my mattress to my mother, where I got that magazine.
But lying to girls, that doesn't
all
count.
My guns cost $450. Right? No, I only bought 500 rounds of ammo.
And then what do you guys think should be like consequences for that? So there's an individual mentioned in the article who appears to be one of many, and if someone has a business, like, would you boycott a business if you found out that someone like flat out lied about their military service?
Oh, absolutely.
I boycotted a business for supporting somebody who said it wasn't a big deal.
Exactly. Like, for example, and this is man, I almost don't want to talk about it because it makes me want to like shoot people from a clock tower. But it's like Corey from Range Time was in one of these guys who he like joined the military, was in there for like a week, and then like got out, and then like said, oh, I was in the Army, and then like always talked about it, and then said, oh, in the sandbox, and he would mention these things, and they have it like, people like, there's where you said it, and then they have like his medical record or whatever, and showed where he was out, and like then he went AWOL and like all this stuff. And so I from my military experience realized that we needed a better cleaning kit and whatever it is. So I developed the clean kit. I sent it to this guy who like has all these hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube and to do training, who's never fired a shot in haste in his entire life. I send him my hard-earned product, and he never does anything with it. He just puts it in his backpack and whatever, steals it from me. So not only does he steal valor, he steals like a product from me, and then it's like I'm sitting here like there's nothing I can do. There's no repercussions. There's got to be. I mean, there has to be something. If I can't distill liquor legally, he should not be able to do that. That's just my view.
How did we get there?
That's just what I think. I think I should be able to distill liquor.
You know what
But
you're the king of, Peter? It's like you're driving on the highway, you're in fifth, sixth gear, and you're just cruising along, tunes playing, and you're like, oh my God, I just remembered I left the coffee pot on 6 years ago.
no,
Let me slam this car into second gear and just dump the clutch and watch the wheels hop all over the
no,
place.
it's relevant. Somebody can do that, which I pretty much everybody could agree is super jacked up. But like, you bring me one person that thinks that I shouldn't be able to steal liquor, other than somebody in the federal government who wants to steal my money. You know what I mean?
I
You don't
don't
think?
know.
Why not?
I don't know, Peter. You're like Einstein to me sometimes, and I just don't know what to make of you because there's these moments where you're just brilliant. Then there's other times when you're just, Carl Pilkington from An Idiot Abroad, and I just don't know where to meet you somewhere in the
It
middle.
makes sense up here.
I know, and I'm just trying to get it to like project out. So it's like
No.
we have to use keywords and snaps and some mental conditioning to kind of
But
get
no,
it
back
out.
to serious question. Back to serious question. No, there is a Stolen Valor Act. I know, and there's some legal repercussions, but I don't ever see or hear stories of what happened.
Well, Peter, it's very hard to convict someone of the stolen valor because stolen valor isn't about lying per se. It's lying for personal gain. So
Which
that
is
if you
what this talks about, right? This is what the article is mentioning, right?
yes, but one has to prove intent, and one has to the prosecution has to prove intent as well as demonstrate personal gain, so on and so forth. So I like the law, but it's probably pretty hard to enforce it.
Yeah. I'm just saying that these people can do all of this off of and earn their stuff off other people's sacrifice that keeps this country free, and there's no repercussions to them. But it's a federal law that you could go to federal prison if you just distill some liquor. I think there's something jacked up there, and we need to fix that.
All right. Well, I do liquor talk next week, but so I'm going to pick. We have several articles this week about police chiefs shooting themselves, shooting their wives on accident. And I'm going to take this one here. Police chief accidentally shoots himself for the second time. So, in Connersville, Indiana, a police chief shot himself while handling a firearm in the gun store. And he apparently was holding a gun, and he took his gun out to compare it to the gun he was handling, and he reholstered his gun, and his jacket had a drawstring on the side, which got pinched between the trigger and the holster, so when he reholstered it, he shot himself in the leg. And
That's not too bad.
And back in '99, he admitted that he was unloading a gun to take to the gunsmith and didn't check for a round in the chamber and shot himself in the hand.
Remember that scene with the desk pop? I'm a peacock cap, you gotta let me fly.
But this does bring up a good point on dress and concealed carry. I'm a new concealed carrier here in the state of Illinois, and when I took my carry class, when they were having us practicing holstering, reholstering, and so on, I had a fleece zip-up jacket on, and it had these drawstrings on either side, and I immediately saw that was a problem, so I took it off. I actually brought it up to the whole class. I said, something to take into account here. Your dress, this could be a real issue if it ever came in contact with your trigger and reholstering. And here's a police chief that apparently didn't.
You're like Nostradamus.
It's definitely something that takes practice. One of the ways that I did it, and I like showing people that are curious about starting, is start with an outside, the waistband, strong side, preferably something like Kydex, wear a shirt tucked in, get familiar with how garments work, because especially when you start doing concealed carry, a lot of people just completely ignore the fact that clearing a garment is probably infinitely harder than getting a gun out. A good guy I know, Matt DeVito, is during his courses, he always says, quick out, slow in. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Quick out, slow in.
Nobody ever won a gunfight with a fast reholster.
Right, exactly.
Not one of the factors that contributed to success in anything.
I just started carrying appendix, and it's one of those things that I didn't think I could do. I was very unfamiliar with it and started doing it, and I'm still really kind of nervous sometimes about reholstering. Like I'll practice drawing and firing, but I won't, like, literally I'm still deathly afraid because I'm thick in the midsection of kind of just even my shirt catching it as I go in. So I end up like putting just the muzzle in and I'll flex the waistband out, which is even more dangerous if that goes off. But I can see and verify the trigger's clear, put my hand behind it. Like, it's just a comfortability thing. I know a lot of people that are still afraid to carry with a round in the chamber. Like, the gun is just going to magically hurt them on its own, but just by walking around, and that's not the case. So, I mean, I'm progressively moving, and it's a combination of both your proficiency and your comfortability with the firearm, how you're carrying, where you're carrying, and, you know, how you plan on using it. I'm not afraid to carry with a round in the chamber anymore, even appendix, because I know that inside that holster on my waist, it's not going to go off. It's in the holster, it's covered, trigger's covered, good to go. If that gun has to come out, I am definitely not going to sit there and be quick draw McGraw, do a little trigger flip spin and then throw it back in. There's a lot of business down there that needs to be taken care of. So it's just practice and proficiency, man, and it comes to you.
That's why, you know, I mean, I just bought a fishing vest, and I just wear that when I carry.
Yeah.
So
You've got IDPA next?
I'm good to go. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys are doing, but...
Hey, I have to admit, IDPA did prepare me for carrying. So,
did you have a vest though?
Did you have a vest?
Do you have
a fishing vest?
The signature vest.
I have a Duluth Trading Company vest, a sponsor of Gun Guy Radio.
Oh, dynamite dropping, Monty.
There we go.
I'm terrified of shooting myself because I haven't done that yet. And it's like, I know it's going to happen. And it's not going to be like it's going to be like, I've had 2 NDs, and neither one of them involved a firearm. I was at Ian's house, and I was moving a washing machine like this, and we were shooting 22s the day before, and I rolled over the 22, and it went boom, and like I didn't know it was on the ground. You know, I ejected it, and it just fell, and we didn't see it because whatever, and the washing machine hit the rim, and boom, it went off, and send the round into the washing machine. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to eject around. I have to clear. I'll eject it, and then that primer will magically hit the one rock on the whatever, and it'll send the round into my knee or something like that.
All right, you said 2. The first was with the washing machine, and the second was...
It was with the angle grinder.
So not an actual firearm was ever involved.
No.
You had 2 NDs with just ammo.
If you're going to I'll tell a story real quick. If you're going to reload your ammo and you want to find out how deep you want your rounds to be, and you back them off your lands and your grooves a little bit, you could take a casing and cut it vertically down, a used casing, a size casing, and cut it down. Put the bullet on there, and when you chamber it, it's gonna, as soon as it hits the lands grooves, it'll stop, and you can pull it out and it'll stay in there. So that groove you cut, it relieves the tension on the neck. And so you back it off a couple thousandths, and so it jumps a little bit into the lands grooves. Well, it was a 30 carbine cartridge, so I had a giant thing of used brass. I pick up the 30 carbine. Obviously, you can tell it's used brass. There's no bullet on there. It's dirty, whatever it is. I take my angle grinder, and I'm going, and then I get to cut through it, and boom! It explodes. My angle grinder blade flies all over the place. I drop it on the ground. I pick up the casing, and it's bent in a cartoons when they put something in the barrel of a shotgun. It's bent out like that. And I'm like, what's going on? And I turn it upside down, and there's a 22 bullet inside of it with no rifling on it and no casing. What happened is that I picked it up. There was a 22 that had not been fired that was inside of it, magically hiding.
That's crazy.
With the rim up. And as I'm cutting with my angle grinder to start my load data, I hit the rim of it with the angle grinder, and it explodes and sends metal over my face and all over the ceiling and everywhere. And my angle grinder blade flies everywhere. And I'm sitting here how is that even possible?
I don't even need to put stories in this segment. I'll just have Peter talk. So, are there any here that we have to cover before we wrap things up? AR-15 blinged grips.
Oh my God! No, God, dear no.
We can move along from that.
Yeah. Nobody
maybe
wants to talk
Tannerite.
about that.
Maybe Tannerite.
All right, you look into the Tannerite. I'm going to talk about the Walmart store that nixes engagement photos with a shotgun. So a couple had some engagement photos taken. Apparently took them to Walmart. I don't know why, to be processed. And when the lady went to pick them up, there was something written on the photo envelope that you pick up. It says -1 5x7, no weapons. And they questioned why that was, and the store the person working at the store said, "Well, it's store policy. You can't print pictures of guns." And then it went on to say that it would promote the gang culture.
They sell shotguns in Walmart.
I know, right? Walmart sells guns. Well, apparently they this news station picked it up, and then they went to the like a Walmart rep, in the corporate office, and they said, well, actually, no, there is no policy against printing out pictures of firearms. This was a new Walmart associate who was misinformed. Her actions are not consistent with our policy. So it sounds like just an anti-gun employee, possibly, but
At Walmart?
at Walmart.
That's
Yeah, don't
is
give
that
me.
part of the hiring process?
I know. It reminds me of a story years ago. My wife and I think it was wedding pictures actually. My wife went to have some reprinted at Walmart because the photographer had went out of business, and they would not release the photos to her because they were like, "Oh, these were professionally taken. You need a release for us to release these to give these to you. We need a release from the photographer." So yeah, just
All right. Anyone else for Walmart?
they do sell guns.
All right. So, Tannerite. We've seen it, I think, every week at this point. Somebody's getting in trouble for Tannerite. Somebody's got too much of it, yada, yada, yada. So, they're trying to introduce a bill in the Indiana Senate. And all it is they want to make you show your ID that you're over 18 to buy it. Otherwise, $500 fine to the outlet, not even to the person. So it's one of those useless things that makes people feel good because, quite simply, 2 words, and that is binary explosive. If it was called anything else but binary explosive, no one would care. If it was, Black Cracker Jacks, like if it was Firework Deluxe, like no one would care. But because it's a binary explosive, there is some inconsistencies in the article that I did notice where it's, the water vapor is a byproduct, can't cause fires. Why not just buy black powder since you don't need to show an ID? And yes, these are all great options for people that just want stuff to go boom. At the end of the day, Tannerite's a lot of fun, but it is flame sensitive. I've seen it in enough quantity. It generates enough air, friction, and velocity to catch dry things on fire. So that's a pretty interesting perspective. But what do you guys think? Do you have to be 18 to buy Tannerite? I mean, you can only set it off with a gun, right?
Right. So what? Yeah, just another useless law. It seems like.
Peter, what do you think?
You're muted, Peter. Anyways, a side note, did anyone see the YouTube video of guys blowing up a barn, an entire barn with like a 50-gallon drum of Tannerite?
No, I saw the hogs, which is pretty
The hogs is awesome.
disturbing and awesome. But
I thought that was pretty
Well,
cool.
is it just a
Whatever.
matter of time before states or federal entities outlaw Tannerite because they'll see all these crazy YouTube videos?
I mean, I haven't seen a YouTube video yet that people. Well, actually, John, the Chaos's video. Did you see that? You got to be careful with this stuff. It's only a matter of time for somebody to do something so stupid or use it in a crime, and that's where it's going to go down.
Which video are you talking about?
It's Christmas video, right? Chaos the Christmas video.
There was him, and then there was the one with.
You put it on a log, and it looks like it's about 3 inches in front of him, and he shoots the Tannerite, and like it blows the log in. Like you could tell
took his leg out.
Yeah, the log just disappears because it was a stump. You know, he had the target on a stump, and he shoots it, and obviously for whatever reason it blasted out, and the log just goes.
Yeah, and then what?
He turns to look to the camera, like, oh my god, no. It's like, if something looks close on camera on YouTube, you know this. If it looks close on the camera, it is close in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was close. I was like, whoa, but like, yeah, it's only a matter of time. If somebody uses it in a crime, something, then they're gonna start. I think they're gonna really start cracking down on it. I just hope nobody does that. Nobody do that, please, because it's fun.
All right, last chance. Billy, anything else you see here?
No, not at all.
You guys have to check out Joe Sprave's revolver Gatling gun. It's a Gatling gun with revolvers on it.
Is it George or George or Jorge?
Or just call him Joe.
Yeah, but they're
that a drill? Is it on a drill?
Yeah, but it's a cap guns. But still, I mean, if it works with those, why wouldn't it work with like?
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Normal ones.
So, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Patreon. Patreon's an easy way you can crowdfund this program by going to patreon.com/week. Patreon.com/week. We'll be sending out random battle boxes with MS Clean kits.
Whee!
And Duluth Trading Company $50 gift cards, GunGoddess.com $25 gift cards, and Duke Cannon Supply Company limited edition military, way too long of a title, field boxes of big ass bricks of soap. As you see behind me, those are filled with manly big ass bricks of soap. So sign up, patreon.com/week. You can pledge little as $1 per episode for your chance at a random battle box drawing, and it supports the show. So that about wraps it up this week. So Josh, fill us in. Four Guys Guns. You got this membership thing.
Four Guys Guns. We finally have kind of just about 100% squared away the party in Vegas for SHOT Show. So thank you to everyone who did contribute to that. Four Guys Guns and FGG members will be uploading more videos for those that are new to shooting and interested in learning more about getting their stepping stones into training. We're up to, I think, 12 videos now, and we add 2 to 3 every month. Simple basic how-tos, things like how to properly hold a pistol, what to put in your range bag, how to pack a med kit, stuff like that, as well as great discounts on industry-wide, other partners we've worked with. So Samson, CMC Triggers, US Optics, Alpha Concealment, bunch of stuff. So all the stuff that we're getting you to learn, we're also getting you prepared for with the actual materials. So you're buying good gear the first time at a good price instead of going through like 15 different Uncle Mike's and Black Hawk holsters. Not to mention, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Four Guys Guns. We're growing constantly every day, and we do it all for the fans. So thank you all, and thanks again for having us here tonight, Jake.
My pleasure. Billy, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Well, thanks, Jake. Really appreciate you having me on. It was a pleasure to meet you guys.
Tell us where fans can connect with you and Remington.
So I have a YouTube page. It's just Google or just search for Billy Birdsell. And Remington, of course, and the Remington Outdoor Company have our family of web pages and brands. There's Remington.com along with Bushmaster, DPMS, AAC, Marlin, Nasika, Dakota, Para, H&R, Dublin Dog, Mountain Khakis, 1816 by Remington, Storm Lake, and Tabco.
Jeez, how do you remember all of that?
It's a curse or a gift, depending on how you look at it.
Very cool. And links and the show notes to your YouTube channel. Good stuff over there for sure. And Peter, what's up? Are you going to hint at maybe a starter thing that you kick?
Yeah. We decided that we were going to do the double thick case and things like that we're going to start another Kickstarter here shortly. So be looking out for that.
What's a double thick case?
It would be like right now our Miss Clean kit is in the shape of a single NATO magazine, but we're going to do one in obviously double as thick, so that it will can hold more stuff. So it's a double thick magazine. It's kind of would be the thickness of a Surefire magazine, the 60 round or 100 round ones, so that you could utilize a double pouch for it. And so we could put more items in it that you may need to service your firearm and or some other things we have planned. So that's going to be coming up here in February, but we'll keep you posted with stuff with that. We have a very special individual who's going to film the video for us, so that should be pretty interesting to see how that turns out. And we added some more products from Multitasker and FireClean to our website, www.mscleankits.com. So you could check those things out when you go to buy your kit. There's more products there you could get at the same time. Save yourself some shipping and help out our partners. So.
Very cool. That about wraps up this show. You can leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of this YouTube video or at thisweekinguns.com/098. As always, this is available on iTunes, thisweekinguns.com/iTunes. Listen on your commute. And please continue to shop our Brownells and Amazon affiliate links. Helps support the show. Go to thisweekinguns.com/Brownells or firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. Well, thank you, Billy.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks again, Jake. Pleasure to be here.
And thank you, Peter.